Welcome to the PHx2 podcast for our second episode. I'm Phil Hoang. He's Paul High. We're all PHs. So Paul, hit us with today's PH acronym.
Yo, good morning. Today's PH is peak hour.
Not bad. Peak hour. I love that. So
Peak hour, mate.
Just to let our audience know a bit of nugget. The intro is the PH, but we have not told each other the acronym we're going to say on the show. So it's a surprise it's a secret between both of us. So that's peak hour. Love it. School's back, yes.
At least in New Zealand. And I think
back.
Australia as well. And I actually thought of that when I was stuck in traffic during peak hour. Like, PH.
Oh.
There you go.
There you go. Just like I haven't seen peak hour for a while. You'd be like, oh, let's peak hour.
Me too. I haven't seen peak hour for like 5-6 months until this week.
You know business is back, mate, on when you're stuck in peak hour traffic for sure. Recap for last week. I think our first episode, I can't thank you enough for all the support messages, the people that have tuned in, giving us their feedback. So greatly appreciated. Can't still believe it was only 10 days ago we had no mic, no setup. And we've progressed to being on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We've even started leveling up. We're using different software, StreamYard. So unbelievable experience, I think, and I'm totally enjoying the process as well. So yes, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you to our listeners.
Today, Paul, what do we got on today's show?
Mate, today's episode is all about M&Ms. And actually, we'll dive into what that actually is, but it's not those little colored sweets with the chocolate center. But I'm curious to know, actually, Phil, what's actually your favorite M&M color?
It's got to be yellow, but it's probably the peanut M&Ms that are my favorite.
Ooh,
not the standard M&M, but I did have a peanut butter M&M in the States because it's pretty huge in the States. You can't get it here, or you have to get imported here. But yeah, in Australia anyway. But yeah, mine's yellow. What's yours?
Mine's is blue.
Blue.
I love blue, mate.
Favorite. Blue.
Yeah.
Blue.
Leaves a blue tongue.
Surprised it's not green. I'm surprised it's not green.
No, not green, mate. Not like the Hulk, mate. Not like the Hulk.
Not like the Hulk. Right. Yeah.
But blue. Mine's favorite is blue.
Yeah.
Well, if any of our listeners are listening in, think about your own favorite M&M. You might share it to us in one of our comments on our posts. We did put it out there to you guys what you thought our M&M podcast would be this week. And our topic is all about Microsoft and the Metaverse. M&M.
There you go. There you have it. Microsoft Metaverse. Wow, that's a huge two topics to really sort through, isn't it? And yeah. So Microsoft just had the earnings call, Q2. So we'll do a bit of a deep dive into that.
Give us the top line numbers, Phil.
So top line numbers, very impressive. They Q2 51 billion total revenue, gross margin at 34.8, which is at 67% GP, very, very healthy. Wow. Net income 18.8 billion, growth 20%. And if you break down the three biggest categories, productivity and business processes at 15.9 billion. Cloud at 18.3, and then they've got personal computing 17.5. So the healthy thing is, all three businesses are sitting around that 30% mark of each. So very, very healthy results there.
That's a good mix. That's a
good
mix.
It is. It is. I mean, on comparison, last podcast we were doing Apple. Apple's over 50% is one category, iPhone. So when you look at a well risk diverse business, because you want all your, you don't want all yours in one basket, so to speak, right? So that's very, very impressive. And another interesting stat is their gross margin is 34.8 billion, so just under 35 billion. That's a very, very healthy gross margin. And I think that's more related to software and the Huawei business. The Huawei business is clearly not as strong as Apple, but look at the margin perspective, huge.
Nice.
So key highlight for me was, in short, all their business category grew, all the subcategories grew double digit Q2. Right, the only categories that didn't grow double digits were the hardware business, was the Xbox and Surface. Surface was 8% year on year. Xbox was at 4%, and probably that's related to the current climate of logistics, right?
As expected, right, for that hardware type business.
As expected, yeah. But it goes to show they're not relying on that, so they're somewhat immune. Microsoft is immune to that exposure, because even if it is, it's not affecting that top line at all. All right. I mean, Apple, as we discussed, they've left money on the table purely based on the supply chain. For me, with Microsoft, the major two breakaways in terms of trending were LinkedIn and Teams. They were the two major trends. Yeah.
Mate, we all love LinkedIn, don't we?
We all love LinkedIn. We are so bullish on LinkedIn, and it gives you come with some logic why we're so bullish. If you break down what they disclosed, LinkedIn grew 37%. That's revenue, right? And they grew 22% in engagement for the quarter. So pretty amazing. One of the largest platform professional events. LinkedIn has over 24,000 events each week and 1.5 million RSVP each week. That's a record. So in terms of engagement, they're ramping up the engagement. People are still starting using the platform more.
Didn't we hop on an event like last week?
Yeah, we hopped.
We RSVP'd for it.
Yes, we RSVP'd for it. We jumped on 5 a.m, our local time in Australia, and yeah, it went off. It was good. I mean, the event was kind of like the intro with LinkedIn audio, and I think that's just going to eventually evolve and get better.
I'm sure a lot of our followers and connections on LinkedIn have also, done RSVPs in the past month and clicked on that and potentially attended or even hosted an event as part of LinkedIn's platform.
Yeah, and I think as businesses start to learn and uncover how to use LinkedIn, as a tool, that's just going to continue growing. You can see it trending now, right? And then they've service marketplace, over 3 million freelancers and small businesses help discover new customers. So it's almost like an employment tool as well now, right? If you're running a small business.
I don't see any hiring freeze there at the moment.
Yeah.
Looking at those stats.
Yeah. It is, right?
Looks like, the hiring platform is still on fire.
Yeah. And they've surpassed $1 billion in 12 months. First time ever.
Wow. So what's that? That's everyone that's got a gold LinkedIn logo that's paid for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably, yes.
All your hiring managers that use that platform for hiring as well. Ads, everything together.
Yes. Yep.
1 billion, did you say?
1 billion, yeah. And that's probably it'd be in USD as well, yeah. So add another 30% on it when you consider the conversion. Yeah, and then the next one is Teams, right? Teams, they're totally bullish on Teams, and looking at these stats here, you can tell why, right? You can see why. 270 million active users. Over 90% of the top Fortune 500 companies are using Teams this quarter alone. Clearly not Apple, so that's one company. That's probably the only company that's not doing it. It's probably Apple, right?
Apple's using FaceTime, man. Okay.
Yeah.
And the corporates are using
teams, right? And I think for the people that know, Fortune 500 is the largest corporations in America ranked by revenue, right? And I think they're starting to not only do the corporate, they're starting to roll out teams for the standalone for small businesses as well. So they're picturing two markets because they normally pitch it for the corporates, but even for the standalone, which is called the Team Essential, which is I'm assuming a cut down version of the team's corporate, they've pushed that out as well. And I think teams will play a massive, which we'll discuss further in a minute. Teams is going to be huge for their metaverse play.
Man, I can't wait for that. I think that's really big for all businesses or anyone that's using that at the moment. Because I mean, think about it: the pandemic and all the times that we've been working from home, everyone's using Teams. Like we use Teams,
Yes,
in our business.
Yes,
and like when you say the Fortune 500, what's that? Like 450 of those companies are all on Teams.
Yes.
Wow.
Can you imagine
that blows my mind?
Access. Can you imagine the access they have, right? You can just foresee the next step when they introduce the metaverse. Yeah, they're launching mesh into Teams, which is going to be the first 2D, and they're going 3D. So they're already starting that exposure already, right?
Right, just imagine all of those guys and girls all creating avatars, lookalikes, you know.
Yes, correct, right? And didn't they say on the call it's going to be the water cooler top conversation, whiteboarding sessions, all done on Teams, right? So it's going to be huge.
That all just fascinates me. I can't wait for that world when it's all mainstream.
Well, it's coming. I mean, Metaverse is coming, and Microsoft is being very bullish on it, right? So should we touch on the gaming a bit as well?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Gaming. Yeah. I mean, gaming. Let's run out some quotes here. Game Pass, which is their subscription-based service for Xbox, surpassed 25 million subs, and I'm one of them. I'm a subscriber. And then they've launched two major titles, Forza 5 and Halo. Halo was the biggest launch ever, and Forza 5 hit 18 million players at launch. So huge titles, right? And I guess having seen that data, they've went and acquired Activision, right? So for the ones that don't know, the last couple of weeks they went and purchased, laid out 68.7 billion to buy in cash by our Activision. Activision's one of probably the leading three developers. They've got Call of Duty, massive franchise. So it's still under FTC approval, and they're probably won't be till 18 months before the whole acquisition will happen. But that's bull. That's a big bull move, all right? And I think they've done it based on really one key factor, right? The metaverse.
The big M, the metaverse.
The big M. The big M. I mean, it's that big that Facebook even changed their name.
That's right. That's right. They want to be the first, right?
They want to be the first.
Mark Zuckerberg's like, I got to take the meta. That's what we're going to call it.
Yeah.
I love that news around Activision Blizzard. I used to be a gamer when I was younger. Love Diablo. I don't know if you played Diablo, Phil, but I played that so much. And it was a really good game platform. So I think Activision's going to be in good hands with Microsoft and everything around what Microsoft's going to do and spearhead them into the metaverse.
Yeah, can't agree more. If they're slashing out 60.8 billion and they're investing heavily on the metaverse platform, then they're making a huge play, right?
And so that's everything on Microsoft. Should we talk about the metaverse in detail?
Yeah. The big metaverse. So excited. I guess from the Finance Core just shows how bullish they are, right? And they've even commented there's two factors, right? One is going to be their investment into generating the platform, which is the Metaverse platform, and then the other is going to be content driven, right? Content based driven, and you can tell them acquiring Activision is their content play, right?
Is that what all the applications or the brands?
Yes,
that are associated
the
with
franchises.
Franchises.
The franchises. That's the IP. The IP that you can't play. If you want to play the game, you have to go through them now, right? And they're leading world. They're market leading titles, right? And you got to think, right? And I love this strategy. You think, right? Because you always, if it's a new market, you always look at, okay, who are my top 3 non-customers? Who was my first non-customer? Who's my second tier non-customer? Who's my third tier non-customer, right? And you can think, okay, Metaverse. It's already happening now anyway. All the gamers. That's already a Metaverse, but they just sit in silo, right? With their own franchise games, right? Like Fortnite,
Roblox.
Kids these days, Roblox, they're already immersed in that. They're immersed in the avatar. They're immersed in their currency coin, or they want to buy their skin for their character. It's already happening now.
Spending the parents' money, isn't it?
Yes. I've seen a couple of our credit card transactions go through. What was this about? My son with Fortnite, So I see they've identified this, that who are their first non-customer for the Metaverse? The gamer. Clear cut, the gamer. All right. It's a path of least resistance. The game is already half immersed in that world already, right? That's why they've, went lashed out 69 billion to buy content. Because I know content's going to be the macro about driving Metaverse into their world. So I think that's first customer, all right? And then if you look at the next set, okay, who's a tier 2? It's going to be the business customer. It's going to be that Teams customer that's using Teams. They're already transitioning that to introduce Metaverse, applications into Teams. So that's going to give them exposure. I think that's going to be kind of the first 2 for the years to come, right? And then there's going to be a third, right? I don't know who the third's going to be, but I'm sure Michael's will figure it out. Well, I mean, how do you think you've got the hardware for the Metaverse, Paul? You not?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah?
During Christmas, I
Yes.
got gifted an Oculus that's made by Meta or Facebook.
Yeah. AKA Facebook, or Facebook.
I've used it a couple of times. It is the platform, and then inside it is the content, which is all the applications. I had some credit, bought some applications, like there was a lightsaber game. I'm getting into golf, so I downloaded the Golf Plus application, and what I actually thought was really cool was, I got to play golf. I played 18 holes of golf using the headset. And then, remember last time we were in Vegas, Phil, and we went to Top Golf?
Yes.
In the MG, near the MGM. And you get to go to Top Golf and rent a bay, and then you hit the ball. But it's not like you got to hit the ball like a certain distance. You can hit. There's these little holes that you can hit the ball.
In the pocket, right?
Points,
in the pocket, yeah.
In the pocket, yeah. So any skill level is okay. I remember yours was probably down there.
For me, mate. Probably beginner. Can I just throw the ball? Can I just throw the ball into the pocket?
You should have. In the app, I was able to go into Top Golf virtually and pick a bay and start hitting the balls. And what I found was next to me were other guys in the other bays, and they had their own avatars. And because the headset has a mic and a speaker in there, I was able to talk to them at the same time. They were just whacking balls, I was having a conversation with them. It just felt so surreal for the first time that I've experienced that. And That's pretty exciting. I thought that was really cool. And there's more to come. I haven't explored everything yet, but my experience so far has been pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when and exactly what Microsoft said in the call, they mentioned, the first wave of, our internet was building websites, and the next wave, which we are coming into right now of the internet, is building those metaverse worlds. Those Top Golfs. Those
Yes.
land packages. Snoop Dogg is doing NFTs and concerts and everything, and others are following too, and shops and brands and everything. And this is going to blow up into something massive, and they're in the game, which is the big thing. And
I read a report. They were saying in years to come, virtual land and virtual content will be worth more than physical content.
get out of here. Really?
Yep. And I think that's what the metaverse, all the blockchaining, all this NFT, metaverse is the end game. Because even Gary Vee said, and I'm paraphrasing here, when people buy stuff to flex, they stash at their house, right? They have it, whatever they buy, they want to flex. But you can only see so much, because when you're out, you can only have so many items on you, right? But when you have a digital avatar, you want to be buying more stuff, meaning aka NFTs, right? And you want to be showing it off more. So your emphasis of having digital content will be way more than your physical one, because you're able to show it off more.
Yeah. Well, at least no one's going to be able to rob you, right?
Yeah, it's true, right? It's true.
You could have 10 mil of jewelry on your necklace on your neck, and no one can really take it away from you, right?
Yeah, correct.
As opposed to being in the physical world.
Yeah, I mean, I think OpenSea kicked over. Was it 5 billion for the month? I saw a stat, 5 billion. Let me check this out. I saw, which is OpenSea is the NFT marketplace, right? So
it is, OpenSea is
OpenSea,
one of the
right?
biggest.
Yeah, here you go. Here you go. OpenSea hits record 5 billion in monthly sales. So that's sales of NFT. So OpenSea, recap, OpenSea hits record 5 billion in monthly sales.
Wow.
Metaverse real estate sales top 500 million, expected to 2x in 2022. Coachella, if you don't know what Coachella is, festival in California, to sell lifetime passes as NFT.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy. So,
I
man.
I actually want to share some. I actually want to share something. I was having a conversation over whiskey with some mates the other day, and we were talking about the metaverse and NFTs and all that sort of thing. And a couple of my friends didn't get it, and a couple do. And something stumped me, and that was this. Let's say in the future you buy a rare Nike shoe, and that Nike shoe happens to have an NFT attached to it, that obviously authenticates that is a Nike shoe that's of value. You get that NFT, you walk into the metaverse, or actually you go into the metaverse, right? Because you own the NFT, you get to wear that shoe in the metaverse. You're the one wearing in the shoe in the metaverse, okay? You walk around the world, anywhere, someone sees your shoe. They go, wow, that is a really, really cool shoe. How much is it? And you go, I don't know, 10 grand. They go, wow, I want to buy it off you. And you go, okay. They probably, I don't know how they're going to transact that. Maybe it's fiat currency, or maybe that's crypto. But there you go. You've gone into a world and someone's looked at your shoe. They would have otherwise not, being in the physical world, perhaps they're in another country or another side of the world. They've looked at the issue in the metaverse. They want it. They want to transact it. You transact it. You get out of the metaverse. You've made the sale. You ship that shoe to that person. That person might be, in the US or in Europe, but someone's able to discover your items in the metaverse better than discovering it in the physical world. Do you kind of get that?
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
I
mean,
see
it's happening now.
there.
Yes. It's in that platform, right? Now, the challenge, I guess, for all these companies investing, including Microsoft, is which metaverse is going to be the better one? Which metaverse is going to be, leading the pack, right? And that's the race, right? It's almost like the Blu-ray versus DVD HD. What's going to be the rest of the best format, right? And what's going to be the rest of the best platform, right? Usually, the one that goes first or one to get to right is the one that's going to win, right?
So you reckon there's not going to be just one, universal metaverse? There's going to be maybe 100.
I think there'll be 100, just like how many blockchain coins there are, but there's only going to be the one or two main one, right? Yeah, there's only enough space for it. I think popular ones, right? And I think that's all driven by content and macro brands. And I'm talking brands as personality, artist, physical brands. That's what's going to be driving that whichever platform is going to win out, right? Clearly, Microsoft has gone into the gaming route, with the gamers, and I think that's their strategy is who are the first non-customers, bang gamers. That's easy transition for them. But yeah, I mean, very interesting next 10 years. I can't wait to see what comes out of it over the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to change the way we use digitally, our engagement, our communication at work, personal life.
I think at the same time, our kids are going to understand this even more than us.
Yes.
We may need to bring them on our podcast in the future. To explain all these terms and everything, and maybe even the rules or the laws of the metaverse. Mate, going back to what you're saying, like if someone's carrying all these, all this value, high value NFTs and stuff like that. I mean, are they going to have security or police in the metaverse?
Wait, did you ever watch Free Guy? Yeah. Remember the coding police was there, and they're like, "Hey, you can't be walking around with what was that non-playable skin? No, you can't do that." So yeah, it's I think first step is. And we touched on the last episode. I think there's going to be immersive experience. It's going to be the whole metaverse. There's the 2D glasses, 3D thing, and then I think there's going to be a augmented reality version, like in between. Yeah, and I think potentially some companies might go that path, right, as opposed to having it fully immersed. Because I've never played the metaverse, so. What you've experienced, Paul, but every time I put like a virtual reality goggles on, I get headache. And I can only do it for a special time, right? So that's probably one of the physical barriers, right? I mean, how did you feel when you had the old goggles on a long time? Did you something to get used to, or?
It's definitely something to get used to. I coped okay with it. My wife didn't, and. It is, like you said, it is very interesting, what other companies are going to do, because, when I put the Oculus on, I had to put it at the right sort of angle where my eye could see into the lens, and you can obviously adjust the length of the lens, and then it had to be at an optimal position for me to see clearly, because of any movement and it would have gone blur. And if you're kind of doing physical things like hitting the ball, with a golf club, it can move. So it's not perfection now. But I think that's a challenge other companies will have to figure out is how they will make it comfortable and usable to the eye, as well as long periods of time. That's a challenge.
And I'm sure there's multiple companies out there trying to innovate, right? Innovate those shortcomings, yeah. So interesting to see.
Actually, an interesting thing on the call that I picked up was that they did mention a little bit about Hololens, which is sort of that hardware platform they're trying to develop, but the whole focus was actually on the software, the applications.
Yeah.
They almost kind of brushed past it.
Right. Yeah.
But the big
it's
focus
it's like a serious focus for them, right? Hardware. I mean, they're a software company. So if you look at their margin, even their DNA, it's all driven by software. So why should they invest so much in hardware, which diminishing returns for them? Right? It's half their profit. And we know if it's software, it's easier to scale the business, right? Because once you develop it, you just worry about distribution, and distribution digital now. So it's even more profitable than it was 15 years ago, so to speak, right? I think you made comment that off mic that are they really creating the platform but licensing it out? That's going to be the key for them, right? It's
kind of like history, right? Windows. Remember back then, Windows 95.
Yes,
you could install that on all the PCs.
Yes, correct. Yes,
and that was their strength, was providing Windows for every PC possible.
Correct. Yeah, and they sold it for $1. Remember, the IBM. I'll sell it to you for $1 if you put it on your hardware.
Yes. So you know what? Yeah. All those VR or Metaverse hardware suppliers may take up Microsoft and take up their software, and I think that's the position that Microsoft may want to be in.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you look at kind of their business strategy, their DNA, it kind of fits their way of doing business.
Well done, Microsoft. I'm going to give you a clap for great earnings. That webcast experience for me, Phil, was very pleasurable. And I mean, some of our listeners, they may know I'm a big Apple fan. You're an Apple fan. We listen to all the Apple earnings calls. This was actually the first time in a long time that I sat down and paid attention to Microsoft, and I was impressed. They even had an asset package which included PowerPoint presentation of the earnings, financial statements on Excel, which made it super easy for us to calculate the data. The press release and even the transcript of the earnings call was on Word. Mate, even during the webcast, Brett, the investor relations, Satya, CEO, and Amy, the CFO, they were all using Teams. So, mate, talk about showcasing their own technology or their own products. To add to that, the business was very transparent. Mate, they even mentioned that the headcount grew 16% year on year. They even delved deep into that. That's across cloud engineering, across sales, customer development, gaming, and LinkedIn. That's a lot of detail. Like, we don't need to know that, do we? But, for any investor, I mean, I'm not an investor currently, but if I was an investor, I'd be very happy to know all this, unlike Apple, who are, traditionally quite secretive. You got to read between the lines, and the analysts ask some questions which don't get answered. Apple's very good at that surprise and delight. Apple wouldn't be Apple if they didn't have something up their sleeves. And Tim Cook has always said this many times. But I do like what Microsoft had done this week.
I can say the same. I can vouch for that too, Paul. I was quietly surprised when I jumped on the web call, and I'm like, oh, I didn't have to dig through piles of PDF, looking through, breaking down their mix of business. It was all there. All I had to do was just highlight, and it was even for my own personal research for this podcast. It was so easy. And geez, to your point, if I was a ready investor and have all that information disclosed to me, it just embodies confidence in their business, right?
Well, that's a wrap on our second podcast show. If you guys like what you hear, be sure to give us a nice rating. We're on Apple Podcasts now, but also follow and subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, so you don't miss out on any of our fresh episodes. And to all our LinkedIn friends, thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing on our updates. It really helps us grow this podcast far and wide. And lastly, Phil, what have we got planned for next episode?
Well, we have our very first special guest. So super, super pumped for it. He has a YouTube channel, over 130,000 subscribers, runs a successful business, going to do more than 50 million in this year alone. Won't say too much, but watch out for the promo.
All right. I cannot wait for this one. Guys, thank you, and thank you. We're out.
Boom, boom.